Hello, welcome back to Total Spotfest. I am Jamie, that's JJ, and we happen to have Jason Todd's favorite wrestler of all time, Mr. JDX, back with us. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. Today, the D in Justin D. Xavier stands for the Dark Knight.
100%. It's our first and hopefully a series we're kind of trying out here. We're doing a Wrestling Mark movie review. So for those of you who watch and listen to our last interview with JDX, found out the common thread of Batman nerddom that he has with us. And we're like, bet, let's get together after the Batman and go into it. So that's what we're gonna do today. If you're here to talk about wrestling, come back every Thursday. We do that every Thursday, guys. This is about Batman today.
Yeah. If you're here about wrestling and you want to know about the Batman, just stay. It's fine. It's cool. We don't mind.
If you like Batman, if you like wrestling, you'll probably like the Batman. So just hang out.
It's not the Batwing from the Waiting movie. It's not the Batwing from Waiting. That's all I know. You know, no. The movie Waiting.
I know the movie Waiting. I'm trying to think Batwing.
The Batwing when they
the Dick game. Okay.
Yeah. Dick game. Yep. JDX is like, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Jamie does this to me all the time, even movies that I've seen, he'll just start pulling references out like incessantly. So anyway, with that being said, Jamie, you are our resident cinephile. Why don't you go ahead and kind of lead us through here? I know I've got a bunch of little things that I want to hit and talk about. I know that I want to talk about a little bit about all the comic tie-in because that is definitely more of my wheelhouse. But Jamie, go ahead, lead us through this wonderful journey of the return to Gotham.
Okay, so I'll just set the stage with who the actors are, and then we all can talk about the premise, because I feel like that's pretty simple. We all know it's about Batman. We all know it's about the Riddler, and we know that the Penguin's in there. That's about all we know from the previews, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we know Catwoman's there, but they don't really call her Catwoman, which that was kind of a nice little thing. But anyway, so you had Robert Pattinson as Batman. And I know we're going to talk about that for a hot minute. Zoe Kravitz, who looked exquisitely beautiful in this movie, by the way, as Selena Kyle. Paul Dano, and I really want to talk about this guy, Paul Dano as the Riddler.
He was my MVP of the movie. I mean, his performance was.
And then good. Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell is the Penguin. Didn't even look like Colin Farrell. Didn't even know it was Colin Farrell. One of my favorites, if you are a Westworld fan, Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, but he wasn't commissioner in this movie. My goodness, like, and then Andy Serkis as Alfred.
Yeah. So
really good casting choices, honestly.
So all the way around.
I know when we talked last, Jay, is that there was a little trepidation you had. I won't say trepidation.
Sure. It was.
Oh, okay, a little trepidation about the Robert Pattinson Batman. So now, after seeing the movie, what are your thoughts on him? A, as his Batman performance, and B, leading forward with the Bruce Wayne Batman character.
I would say, within the first 10 minutes, I was giggity. Like, I was in my chair, like,
cool.
This shit is good. Like, I was like, fuck, yeah, give me this. Like, let me dig in. Like, the barbecue we was just talking about off the record. Like, I was like that. Like, give me a plate full of this. I enjoyed it. I'm not. I don't know if we have like bullet points that we're gonna go across. Like,
we don't know what we're doing here. We're just gonna shoot. We're gonna figure this out as we go, man.
It's a shoot interview.
For sure. It's a shoot. For sure. So I wasn't too crazy about his Bruce Wayne, but after seeing it a second time, I began to realize, and I kind of realized it after the first time, but after the second time, I was really keen on the fact that, like, he has room to grow as Bruce Wayne. He doesn't care Bruce Wayne. The take that Matt Reeves is trying to go for, like, he's kind of perfect for that type of Bruce Wayne. I think also he did he was fantastic as Batman.
Oh, he was great.
I'm a Ben Affleck guy. I'm a Ben Affleck guy. as Batman, but I'll say that he was a better Batman than Ben Affleck. So I would say he's probably the best Batman there's ever been, honestly, in my opinion.
And we talked last time about Batfleck and how he was probably the best representation of Bruce Wayne in a movie, right? But it's also a little bit due to the age, and I think a lot of it has to do. I agree with you a lot, and I part of me was very similar. I was like, I would like to see more Bruce Wayne in this, but it was very, very much, because it was that second year of Batman. He's been doing this for 2 years, right? I appreciate not seeing an origin story of Batman.
For sure.
God, yeah.
This is like everybody know about it by this point.
Yeah, it's like we don't need it. We don't need come on. So I appreciate just like Spider-Man. You don't need to see Spider-Man get bit,
For sure.
So I appreciate that, but I think that a lot of that is because this movie really leaned heavily into Gordon and Batman, the detective of Batman, not so much Batman and Alfred.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Alfred was very light in this.
He was very light in this, but he also was very poignant in like the parts that he had. Serkis is an amazing actor. Period.
He hit a home run in that last speech on
yeah.
The I failed you, right? So
yes.
So take it from the beginning here then, because it opens up, I know, in a way that Jamie was probably very giddy about, because it is there's a lot of parallels I found in this, or just I kind of absorbed while watching the movie. And even though I'm not a horror movie guy, seeing him open up the beginning just like John Carpenter did with Halloween, I thought was very interesting, especially considering a lot of like kind of like the geekdom story of it was based around there's several different comic influences, and one of them was The Long Halloween. So
for sure it was.
Opens on Halloween with like the binoculars and the heavy breathing. Jamie, I know you were geeking out hard about that, right?
So let's just go into my take. Okay, this is my big take of this movie, and it really started in the very first 10 minutes of this movie. It set its tone in the very first 10, and then it did in like the last 45 as well. And I think if you take the Batman pieces out of this movie, you have protagonist A, serial killer B, just insert them. This movie's still outstanding. It was that good and that driven. You didn't need the Batman pieces, and that made the Batman pieces that much better. But here's my big take on this. One of my favorite movies of all time is Seven.
Okay, yeah. I hear it.
All right.
You're in the rain, huh?
So how this movie was shot.
Yeah.
Honestly, the fact that Riddler is very much acting kind of like John Doe from Seven, I feel like there's a lot of similarities between these two movies.
Mm-hmm.
A ton. Like,
that's not the first time I've heard that.
The turn at the end, like it's not done after they captured him. Like
he turns himself in. He doesn't get captured. Just
exactly same thing. He gave himself up. I heard you're looking for me. Basically, like you sitting there having a cup of coffee.
It's like he wanted to get caught, like the Joker in Dark Knight, basically.
Exactly. Like it had so many of these Seven references, in my opinion. Like he's going after people who've committed crime or committed some kind of sin, in his opinion. Like. Lots of similarities there, and my understanding is The Long Halloween has a lot of those pieces there, and JJ and JDX, you might be able to fill me in there.
Yeah, let's learn you on some comics on that. So you caught The Long Halloween too in that, right, JDX?
Yes, sir. I've never read the I'm not a big comic book fan.
Okay.
I should start off by saying that, but I did watch Long Halloween on HBO. I did watch both parts. So.
Well, hey,
it was definitely comparable to that. I love that.
Dude, DC's animated thing is actually pretty spot on. They're pretty close to, and they bring a lot of the good stories because, Batman, and that's one of the differences between DC and Marvel is that, because of the age of it and the long-standing characters, DC very much has a reinvention wheel that they keep going down, but that leads to a lot of offshoot kind of like storylines. And so, like Year Zero is one of them. Year Zero is a New 52, which is when DC reinvented and basically they killed off and rebranded all their superheroes. And so one of the storylines they did was a Year Zero Batman storyline. Year Zero meant that the Riddler flooded Gotham City and it became a primordial, isn't
that also No Man's Land? That is what they're going for.
Yeah, exactly. Like a no man's land. And there's Batman on a motorcycle with bow and arrow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Long Halloween revolves around not the Riddler per se, but it's around this holiday killer. So somebody who kills within the themes, a serial killer who kills within the themes of holidays. And it happens around Halloween time. And it's just got a lot of kind of the tone of this movie is very similar to what Long Halloween has. It's like one of the best stories, Jamie. You definitely should read it. I'll give it to you. I have them all digitally. I'll forward it your way. Yeah, you should definitely buy it. But
it's on HBO Max right now too.
You can watch. I said you can watch the animation. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was other ones too. I think there was a lot of Year One and Year Two, which were one-off storylines that were done as well.
I really like Year One.
You what?
I really like Year One, like the animated movie, the Batman movie. I really like that one.
Yeah, I think they got a lot of Catwoman out of Year One, is what it felt like. Because it looks very similar to the Catwoman from the Year One comic. Also, Year One kind of follows, like I said, it's the first year of Batman, so the journaling that he does, which I found very interesting. So I like kind of Reeves's take on Batman as he's operating, right? So the Batmobile was very much, he's wrenching himself, and he's writing these journals down to keep himself safe, which is an interesting. Once you get into the Riddler's, mind later on, because eventually after they catch the Riddler, they're going through his apartment, and it's very much like Seven, right? Yet stacks of notebooks and craziness. But you had the similar thing. I think Batman always works best for me personally when he parallels along, because he's got a lot of parallels with a lot of his biggest opponents: the Joker, Riddler, Penguin, Hush, all of them. So I like seeing that because it has a little bit of gravitas to it. So that was my take on it. But yeah, so Long Halloween is one. Year One, Year Two, great comic books. There's also Earth One, which is a storyline where it kind of follows along with more the Alfred story, but it deals with it's one of the ones that really kind of entrenched the idea of Alfred being former MI6 sort of thing into the Batverse. It's where Alfred doesn't know how to raise a kid, and he trains Bruce Wayne to fight instead of to be a regular kid, basically.
It makes sense.
I don't know what to do with this. What?
He definitely said that. He said, maybe I should have taught you more than how to fight or something like that. He said that. I was telling my guy that I went to my first viewing of it with. I was like, a lot of people don't know. Alfred's a badass. Like, he's a badass. Like, especially like in the show Gotham and stuff. Like, I used to watch the show Gotham that came on Fox. I really liked that. And I saw like certain like parallels between that too. So I was like, fuck, dude, this is really good. Because it reminded me of like watching the show Gotham, like the Iceberg,
Iceberg Lounge,
Iceberg and Lounge. Like, I was introduced to that through Gotham, like the show Gotham. Just a lot of different things that I saw parallels with. It was great. And then as far as the narration thing, I really loved that. That's when I started getting geeky. I was like, holy shit, here too. Like, I was like, fuck, the narration.
They're afraid of me coming from the shadows, but I am the shadows.
I am the shadows, dude. That line was fucking amazing. That shit was amazing.
Let's just talk about that for a second. Like, that very first fight scene with the guys with the Darby Allin makeup on.
Only one at Darby Allin because he was an initiate. He was half filled. The other guys were full on Sting. Anyway.
Okay, fine. Hey. It's Sting and Darby Allin. Okay, but then you heard that long walk coming, and like he just appears out of the shadows, and then who are you? And he says, I am vengeance. And like as soon as I heard that, like nipples hard, I know I'm going to enjoy this movie. Like, this is everything I want. So now that brings me to my next question, Mr. JDX. What was one of your favorite scenes of the movie and why?
Oh man, one of my favorite scenes. I want to go back real quick when you said the Darby Allin thing. I was like, dude, this really reminds me of some Darby Allin shit. Like his, like, just like Pattinson's, like his whole take. I'm like, fuck, were they watching like Darby Allin promos and shit? Like, what's going on?
Right?
Like,
I mean,
it really reminded me of Darby.
Know.
Really,
I mean, a lot of wrestlers like them some Batman, so I mean,
of course they do. But I feel like Darby,
two-way street
for this movie. So I'm just
the
like
little vignettes, yeah.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I was freaked out by that. But to answer your question, my favorite scene, that's tough.
Or maybe a scene that kind of like threw you.
Maybe not your favorite scene.
I really liked him struggling with the I really marked out hard for the Chicago like scenery. Like with him, the first time he flew off the building, like when he escaped.
Oh, he had the wingsuit and he gets caught by the L.
Yeah, that was Chicago. Like that was on LaSalle Street. So I really enjoyed that scene, but I really enjoyed like the Catwoman and Batman scenes too.
Okay.
Like Catwoman's like theme, it really reminded me of James Bond. Like the sound. I don't know if you guys are James Bond fans.
Oh yeah.
But just like her score that she had, like it reminded me of the Sam. What is his name? Sam Smith. I think it's
Sam Smith.
Sam Smith. Yeah. The song he sung. Damn. Now I'm having a fucking blank on it. I just listened to it the other day. Yeah, that like every time they kind of.
I think it was Scepter is the one he did.
Yeah, Spectre. But I'm trying to think of what the fuck was the name of the song.
Oh, I don't know the name of the song. It was just
damn.
Writings on the Wall.
What's that?
Writings on the Wall.
Writings on the Wall. Yes, it reminded me of that.
Thank
song.
you, Internet.
Score, the violins and the strings in the background. I was just like, geez, that score is gorgeous.
Well, and that's hitting a great point. Something that was one of my big takeaways, because we always joke Jamie's the big cinephile and I'm the big audiophile, right? Because Jamie's the one that can, quote and name movies left and right, and I can do a little bit of that, but I can quote and name like any rock or punk song, it's very true. Anyway, so for me, I really took a lot of it, and it didn't really take long, but the sound, if they don't win win an Oscar for the sound composition in this movie, there's a fucking crime going on.
True.
I mean, because you all of it just was like so good. Batman has always had a distinctive sound, and ever since even with Batfleck, which I appreciate them doing this, they've always kind of, now the Dark Knight had Hans Zimmer, so it's a little bit different thing, right? That's Hans Zimmer. You gotta let Hans do Hans. But pretty much, the overlying tone has always been from the Burton Batmans, it was the trumpets and the very, kind of.
Did you guys peep that? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
JJ. Did you peep that? That they put like some Burton, like the Burton theme was like.
Oh, yeah. It was in there.
It was like a little sample of it before he jumped off.
It was just a little bit, but then throughout the movie, they kept going with this new sort of thing, which is very kind of. It sounded very similar. It sounded like a mix between the Burton theme and the Mandalorian theme in style and tone. But it definitely was one of those reoccurring themes that when Batman was on there, it was some variation of that. Just like you were talking about with Catwoman, she had kind of her own musical score. That was very Sam Smith. And even the Riddler who opened the movie by singing Ave Maria. Every time he was on the screen, it actually was a variant of Ave Maria. If you sit down and listen to it, they slowed it down. They changed the key on it. And I'm just like, it's fucking brilliance. Things like that, there's little stuff that you won't not everybody picks up on, but you hear it and you know what's happening. And I love that. I miss that in movies, period, end of sentence.
So let me build on that point right there. Because as we know, as you've said, I'm a cinephile. It was a lost art. It used to be an art way back in the 80s and 90s, and then kind of went away for a while. Jordan Peele in Us is the one who brought it back.
You think so?
Oh, 100%. Because in Us, he had I Got Five on all the different variations of I Got Five on it. Like the fight scene between the two the two women, had a variation of I got 5 on it. Like all through it, just little small variants. And then like when she's out there, like just the woman, she has a variant of it. And then when her duplicate is out, or which you know, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. She has the doppelganger has a different.
Don't worry about spoiling. That's been out for years, dude. It's fine.
I know, but Jesus, I know.
We should have said
spoiling this. Yeah.
I'll plaster at the beginning of the video that I make. It's cool.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about that, now JJ, you already brought up like your all-star of the movie. Like, who is that one actor in this movie that may have surprised you, or like, wow, that performance was amazing? I know you already said Robert Pattinson, but maybe if you could expand on that, or if there's somebody else. Either one of you.
Oh, I didn't say
more time.
I thought you were talking to you because mine's Paul Dano. Like,
right,
Paul Dano, just like it's so hard. And I've heard people talk about this in the past too, because it's so hard to act when your face is not present. What's his face? Agent Smith. The guy who played Agent Smith in The Matrix. Give me a name, Jamie. Hurry.
I'm thinking.
He was V in V.
I want to say Viggo Mortensen, but I know it's not him.
V for Vendetta. He was in he was V. Anyway, I remember after that movie came out, because that's another graphic novel that I loved that, was cool, was done very well as a movie. And he said it was one of the most challenging roles he's ever had, even more than Lord of the Rings or The Matrix or any of that stuff.
Hugo Weaving.
Thank you. Yes. Because he had to act without any face whatsoever. So Paul Dano, to kind of express and portray through his voice and through his body language, while most of the movie being faceless in the mask, first got to me, but also once you see him, it's just like, of course, that's the way he looks. It just fit perfectly. He really embodied the manic reality of the Riddler, and not the comic sort of, I'm a fired, disgruntled employee, Jim Carrey, which was a fine by itself as a Riddler, but in a different sense. Let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I love the version of the Riddler though. Jamie, to answer your question from before, I'll answer the one you just asked about your MVP. Other than who did you say other than Pattinson?
Well, if it is Pattinson, that's cool too.
Expand on it, yeah.
I got you. Well, no, my favorite scene, I just thought about it, was definitely the funeral. That was fucking awesome. Funeral, where he stared at the little boy. That was great. As Bruce Wayne, that was great. Her, the new mayor saying, you're supposed to be a
philanthropist?
Yeah, thank you.
One of them.
For whatever reason, I could not pronunciate that word. Him seeing the Riddler up there, seeing his silhouette up there, knowing that, something was fucking creepy about that guy, something was actually
right.
About the person, that was fucking cool. And then when you heard the people panicking and the car came in, and he looked back up there, and then the Riddler was the only person still standing up there. That was creepy, but in a good way.
I agree.
And then as far as my MVP was Pattinson. It was definitely Pattinson. Just his portrayal of Batman was great. But other than that, I would probably say Jeffrey Wright. Because
he was great. He was
he was fun, man. And I love I love James Bond. So seeing him as James Bond's CIA friend and stuff like that, and seeing him in this role, I was damn, he really killed that.
He's legit to have killer roles, Westworld, he's fantastic, and Bond, he's been good in. If you've seen any of the Hunger Games, he's in those as well. He actually has a very good role in those as well. I don't think I've seen anything he's been in that's been bad. No, he did he did a Super Bowl commercial 2 years ago that sucked. That's right. Okay.
You got him.
I got you, Jeffrey. Suck it.
So for me, I mean, I agree. Paul Dano, I understand Kevin Spacey's canceled now, but his similarities to John Doe from Seven were just exciting for me. But my other big surprise all-star of this was John Turturro as Carmine Falcone.
Yeah. Who would have expected serious John Turturro, man?
Okay, so let me explain on that.
Go for it, because I got something to say about that.
Okay. It's not about his acting.
Okay.
It is not about his acting. It's about what he meant to this movie. Because Falcone ended up being a humongous centerpiece to the entire movie.
For sure.
And that was the key for me. And the thing was, he was so nonchalant and nondescript about it, which made him an all-star because it seemed like he was too big for what was going on. And that was one of the things I enjoyed about it. And he was serious about it. And in his interactions with Selena, I really like those. I did find his interactions with Bruce to be very, very good because
those are great.
Created so many layers. You know, that added depth to Batman. Like what he meant to this movie as a character is going to be seen throughout the next however many Robert Pattinson Batmans we have, which I hope we have.
He was a linchpin for sure. By the way, before I know JDX wanted to kind of retort on that a little bit. The kind of the backstory between Thomas Wayne and Falcone, that was also a part of Long Halloween too.
Yeah, hell yeah. Which I appreciated. I really appreciated that, because if it wasn't for watching the Long Halloween, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like Thomas Wayne helped him out or whatever.
Yeah, he's a mafia guy, so it's a thing.
Yeah.
So what's your thing about Turturro then?
So my second watch, I was okay with it because, like, you know, when you watch something for the second time, your expectations are already set. You're like, okay, like I know this already. I know this.
Right.
But my first viewing, I was just like, that's Falcone. I was like, I don't see it. Like, I don't know. He didn't present that intimidating like presence to me, like just from a visual standpoint. Like Falcone, like he's a fucking boss. He runs shit. You know what I mean? So I just like I didn't get that from.
It's not like Tony Soprano or
right.
He didn't have that grunt.
I don't know, like fucking Goodfellas. You know what I mean? Like Robert De Niro or Paulie or whatever.
And I agree with you. I kind of felt that too. But when I was cool, fine with him. But when it really got me is when Bruce Wayne, not Batman, went to the club to see him after it kind of had been lushed out that he, you know, the Riddler released a video and he did this whole thing exposing the Thomas Wayne and Falcone history, right?
Yeah.
And it really got to Bruce. So he goes to see him in the club.
Yeah.
And they're having a one-on-one talk. That's where I got it, because he comes up to him real close. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, I see it now. I'm there.
He's a manipulator. That's where he got me on that second view.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. The way he manipulated Batman's ass, I was like, damn. He got that man believing. Like, I'm not saying that's what it was. That's just what it seemed like. That really got me.
Well, I mean, you go ahead, Jamie.
So then let me ask this question. Let's just follow up with this. With everything that happened, do you feel like Batman may have took him under that light on purpose?
No.
I think he did, but he didn't know what was going to happen.
You know, but did he?
I don't think so. Damn,
I don't think he did. No.
That's kind of eerie. I don't think he did that. No.
He stopped Selena from murdering that guy. I mean, he still has the Batman code. So even if he knew if he knew he was going to get shot, I don't think he would have brought him out under the light. No, but
I politely disagree.
Why do you explain yourself then? Come on.
Okay, pretty simple. Everybody knows two negatives a positive, right? You know, negative times a negative is a positive. Negative guy kills negative guy. It's a positive.
What?
and four lefts make a right. Come on, Jamie. No one stop that.
So here's the thing about that theory, Jamie. If he did that, he would be just like what he thought his father was for a split second. Remember, he was fucked up in the head because he was like, damn, my dad had somebody killed. So basically, he would be just like his father, how he thought he was, because if he brought Falcone out into the light, that would be him getting him killed. You get what I'm saying? Like that's like,
and that's why I asked that question, because I think it could add layers. Well, it adds layers to his character for later movies.
Because the thing is, he's still because this really was a detective movie, which is kind of the part that you want to really focus on.
That's all I wanted.
That's what you really wanted, the detective of Batman, and the world's greatest detective. Well, he's not there yet. He's working there. He's only been on there for 2 years, so he's still when that part comes up, he's still putting the pieces of the puzzle together. He hasn't stopped the big event. The spoiler. The big event is that the Riddler had vans parked all around the seawall and has a secret army of followers is going to flood the city and then drive everybody into the garden and kill the mayor, right? That's the whole big. So he hasn't figured that stuff out till it's too late. Same thing as this. He doesn't put 2 and 2 together and think that bringing him into the light, it's just, that's my next step to fix piecing this puzzle, is I have to put him in the light and see what happens.
All right. Well, then let me rephrase that then. Do you think that him taking him into the light will affect him in future movies and add that layer of texture to him? Because when he brought him in there, he basically got him killed, unknowing to him.
We don't know. I don't know if he's dead though. Do we?
Yeah,
I don't know he's dead.
Think so?
Oh, he did.
I thought he might have been going to like Arkham or something. You guys literally just reminded me, even though I saw it twice.
I know. Part of me thinks that didn't we see him like kind of like on life support in the hospital? Whatever. Anyway,
no, he did.
He's dead. Whatever.
I feel as though, did Batman know that he was taking him under the light, or was he just like taking him to like leave?
He's saying that's going to affect him moving forward.
Yeah, he's gonna create doubt in his head of questioning his code.
No, I get what you're saying, Jamie. I get what you're asking, but what I'm trying to figure out is, he intentionally bring him under the light, or did he realize after he brought him out, and then he looked up like, oh fuck, we're under the light? Was it like that, or was it like, I'm gonna take his ass to the light and see what happens? I don't think it was like that. I think it was like, Gordon, Falcone was talking shit about like, don't you know you guys work for me and yada yada yada, and they was all caught up, and they just so happened to end up under the light.
I think you're right, yeah, because he looks up and he realizes, under the light, and then bang.
He said it out loud. Well, he said it to us as a narrator, like, bring the rat into the light, and that's what happened. And he was like, it's the Riddler. I don't think he did that shit on purpose.
I don't think it'll mess with him long term, although depending upon. And I hope they don't ever solve this. But, I think that, I said, we all were glad they didn't do an origin story, but I like having the repercussions of the origin still loom over his head. And with Falcone possibly being involved in the murder of his parents and him being dead, I do think it will have repercussions in that sense, Jamie, because closure is a key thing that has eluded Batman in many iterations, which has fueled him as the Batman. So,
other than the Keaton version, the
right. So
Moonlight.
Well, Nolan version, they knew who it was, right? But there was actually some layers behind it, which they found out that led to fuel to the fire. The Keaton version, they knew who it was, but it was a scapegoat, and then so it's all kind of similar story up until this point here. But there have been iterations of it where it just was never solved. It was the unsolved thing, and the unsolvedness of it drove a young Bruce Wayne even more determined to seek justice for the streets. So I don't know. I mean, do you think, Jamie, it'll have long-term effects?
I really do. And this is the thing.
Answer your own question. Come on, man.
I know. Of course. Well, of course I'm going to set myself up. But no, what I'm thinking is this. He got the guy who got his parents killed.
He thinks.
So he got that guy killed without the ability to have closure, to your point.
Mm-hmm.
He now knows he will never be able to close that chapter of his life ever, and it'll always be open because he's never ever able to actually have that face-to-face conversation with the man who got his parents killed, or potentially, right?
Right.
And it's gonna fuel him, and it's gonna make him become a big time rage monster. And then when you get to
big time rage monster,
and then you get to the killing joke, which I'm hoping they do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. See, I personally love the fact that this wasn't a retread of a specific story, but it had lots of little like sprinkles of different things in there.
Different things, for sure. I agree with that.
If this was just a long Halloween, well, we do and we don't. I don't know. So you're talking about the whole like prison scene, right?
Yeah. Can we talk about the Arkham scene? Let's talk about the Arkham scene.
So let's talk about the Arkham scene here, and then I have a couple other things. So Arkham scene, he gets arrested, and then of course, after everything happens, Batman saves the day. He shows to everybody in this flooded arena of his heroism, and saves the new mayor and all these people and blah blah blah. So to some extent, Riddler's plot did work, but for the most part, he failed, right? So he's beating himself up in Arkham. He's beating himself, and then a couple cells over is an individual. It actually was a character from the Eternals, too. I don't remember the dude's name, but he was...
Barry Keoghan or something like that.
Yes, there you go. So he is cast to play the Joker. And this is meant to be a Joker that's already kind of had a history with Batman. Maybe is not fully. He was very well cloaked and hidden from everything. So you kind of saw shadows of his face, right? So, but what I've read from different people is that the intention was that this is maybe a pre-clown face Joker, or he's very early on, and he has some history with the Batman already. And
so I heard
that's all we know.
So I heard that he was born that way. That's what Matt Reeves said. Like, what if like the Joker was already born that way? He was already born this form with like a smiling condition that he's been judged.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
And it's driven him crazy over years, and he's just now become the.
And then he also said that we may not even get the Joker in the next movie, which I hope we do.
Well, I don't hate that idea. So I don't hate that idea from this point. It's been pretty standard fare, I mean, yes, we know. Okay, Keaton was different, but it's kind of been the rotating thing. You establish it, then you pull out the Joker. Establish it, pull out the Joker, right? That's what everybody expects to happen. Follow the Dark Knight because it's a grounded universe. And it's like, well, I won't mind it if it's done properly. I don't need it because I think he's got enough story treads. You got enough strings to pull here with, he's got to become Bruce Wayne at some point. And I think he realizes some of that. And so that's going to be a story that's going to go through. You've got the Penguin, whose spinoff series is supposed to kind of deal with this kind of time post the Batman, with him taking over power and, seizing for stuff. So you have the Penguin in this mafia role, which he's played many times over, which I like. You can introduce, the Riddler's not dead. The Riddler's very much there, and he seems to be buddying up with the Joker. So I don't think you don't need to focus on the Joker.
Hell no.
But he's there as enough. Yeah.
I'm not ready for it. I hope it's like a Thanos thing where it's like they tease him.
Yeah.
He exists. But just fucking come back to it. I'm really hoping sorry to jump the gun here, but I'm really hoping they do the Mr. Freeze villain next.
I'd be interested to see. Okay. I'd be interested to see how they would do Freeze in this very grounded world.
Yeah, this grounded. Yes, I'm dying to see that. I really want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the Red Hood category for this.
Oh shit! Okay.
Red Hood would be cool, but he's only 2 years in as Batman. So
that's true.
Are you really? Yeah. Now I think it'd be cool if they pulled in an actual. And Patton has said this. He would actually like to have Robin, but he wants to have a 13-year-old actor. He wants to have a kid as Robin.
Oh, he does want to have a kid. Okay.
Like if they do Robin, he wants to do it as a Robin. Truly.
Yeah.
Which
I'm not a big fan of like. I
Robin?
always like. I'll watch Batman like TV shows, like the animated series and stuff. I've watched several different ones, and like I always stop watching when Robin gets introduced. I don't know what it is. I just don't like Batgirl and Robin for some reason. Like I'm not a big sidekick guy.
That's fair.
But do you like Nightwing and Red Hood though?
So I don't know a whole. I know like that. Nightwing is what, Dick Grayson, right?
He was the first Robin that grew up, basically moved to another city and became his own version of an adult. So Nightwing, he morphed over to be.
Catwoman went, right? Brave Knight or whatever it's called.
Bloodhound or whatever it was. Yeah, she mentioned it in the movie as a place she might go. That's where. So he does Batman things in a different city, but there's still interactions back and forth. He's part of the Bat family or whatever. Right.
My friend pointed out to me, and it totally flew over my head for some reason. He was saying that he think that little boy is supposed to be Robin, the mayor's son.
Oh, the mayor's son? Okay.
Yeah, they kept staring at it, and I was just like, well, I know he's supposed to be a part of the Flying Graysons. I feel like the Robin, So I don't know about that one.
I mean, if you do Dick Grayson, they've had many Robins over, and to be fair, he doesn't actually need to follow the comic line of Dick Grayson or Jason Todd or he could just be some other guy. But I don't know. I feel like you've got to get Alfred and him kind of into the more traditional roles before you pull a Robin into it. But anyway, he was just saying that. I don't know. I mean, there's so many ways they can go.
Also, I saw I was watching a review earlier that it was saying that they were hinting at what if the guy at the very beginning, remember the teenager, I think he was black. The teenager did not really want to be like
he was a black kid, yep.
Dude that he was staring at, and he just ran off. They were saying, what if he's Robin too? Because there is an origin story of one of the Robins of being like a criminal. Who's going down halfway and stuff, and he ran into Batman. Like he was stealing wheels off of Batman's car or some shit like that.
Well, as someone
before that.
I mean, I'd be cool with that. I wouldn't mind seeing that guy. I kind of like that because he was begrudgingly joining that gang, obviously, right?
Yeah.
He was very much didn't want to be there. Didn't want to jump the dude in the subway. He stopped the dude from like hitting Batman with whatever. I mean, I'd be all for something of that nature. I don't know if you need to have a sidekick yet, but depending on how far they go with this, which I know is one of Jamie's points there, is, and there was a part there where you're like, are they actually going to kill Batman? Because for the first time in a long time, when he was falling off the thing, and I was like, they're actually going to kill him.
They got me for a split second.
They got all of us. I was like, you're going to kill him, really?
Yeah.
But no, he didn't.
It was like, it's supposed to be more movies. It's supposed to be a whole trilogy or some shit. And I was like, oh, okay. So can we talk about that for a second? How did you guys feel about the final showdown or whatever?
To be honest with you, I felt it. I mean, I loved this movie as a whole. Loved it a lot. We're going to talk about the overall things in a minute here. But I don't think there was anything shocking that happened in this movie. Mm-hmm. It's not like Endgame when you had the snap and half the people, all of a sudden you're watching Bucky and Black Panther and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man get vanished out of existence. Like you didn't have that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so overall, Infinity. I said the wrong one. Yeah, my bad. We're in DC world right now, but you didn't have.
Made me appreciate it.
I think that's why, because it's like. It very much didn't need to have a grandiose sort of thing, The story is going to be 3, 4, 5 movies long, right? And I think that's the point, is that we don't want to necessarily make it the big thing because we want it to roll along. I mean, your main protagonist is still alive. He's in prison, right? Batman is still forming. This relationship with him and Selena Kyle is still percolating. So I was fine with it, but I did feel that it wasn't necessarily the grandiose that you come to expect, right?
Yeah. I was hoping for it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jay.
Oh, no, go ahead.
this movie is sorry. I got a brand new puppy and he's whining.
That's all right.
That ending really it was underwhelming for me, and it made me appreciate how good Infinity War and Endgame are. Like it really made me appreciate it. I was like, I got to think about it for a second. Like, what comic book movies do I really enjoy the ending, like the final showdowns of? I couldn't think of none, but right away I thought of like Endgame and Infinity War. And I did like the new Justice League, like Zack Snyder's Justice League Final Showdown.
The Snyder Cut? Sure.
Yeah, Snyder Cut was great.
Oh, yeah, the Snyder Cut, yeah.
Oh, great.
But like it was underwhelming to me. Like it was cool when he captured the Riddler. Okay, cool. They had their conversation in jail. And he was like, "Oh, you're not really as smart as I thought you were." That shit was great. But then when he pulled up to the I like them like being in the chat room, like him being able to watch, you know, him in the chat room and stuff with his followers. That shit was cool. But like once they actually got to Gotham Square Garden, it was just like, okay, he was fighting. It was cool to see him hang the guys from the rafters. But like him cutting the monitor thing or whatever the fuck, like to save the
cable, so it didn't, yeah,
I don't know, that like all of that was kind of underwhelming to me. Like it was cool when he came down into the garden, he fought a little bit, he got caught, and I don't know, it just wasn't.
But I think that has something to do with the, you know, like. And you made a great point there. You talk about like memorable endings, you know, Infinity War, Endgame, all that. Those were also the culmination of a decade's worth of movies building up to that singular point. So,
I agree.
You know, I think that when you look back on it, yeah, I think that it was underwhelming, but it was also very subtle for a purpose. Like the last shots of Batman and Catwoman driving off in their motorcycles and then forking off, you know.
Yeah. I know, that was sad as fuck.
It was different emotions, right? That's the thing. He was like, and I think that Reeves did a fantastic job. Two things I want to say before we get to kind of you know our total thoughts of the movie. Great job playing with emotions throughout, like the different things, the tones, some of the cues of it, the fact that the Riddler lived across the street from the Iceberg Lounge the whole time, and we didn't know until later. And if you follow along, you should have known, because everywhere the Riddler went, there was something green signifying his presence. There was green neon on the building he lived in. There was
I catch that.
Yeah, the green hue inside of the diner. It's weird, but when you fall back, I didn't notice it either. I think it was Cinephiles has pointed out or something, or one of the like Easter eggs you might have missed sort of videos I watched.
Right. Makes sense.
But what I really appreciated too about this, because you talk about Jamie asking characters in the movie, and I think that one of the best characters we didn't talk about was Gotham City.
Yes, Gotham was gorgeous in this.
Gotham has for a good Batman entity, the city has to be the character, and we've gotten the Chicago, you know, Gotham from like Dark Knight, right? Yeah. We've gotten New York Gotham from other ones. We've gotten very, you know, outlandish, cartoony in his own way of Tim Burton Gotham, right? You know,
I like those. Honestly,
yeah. So I mean, but so the Gotham was this interesting, like it was interesting, kind of, you know, melding of New York, London, and Chicago that I thought was really interesting.
No, I agree.
So if I may go back to one point, actually, I got 2 points. I want to revisit, because I do want to really get into where does this franchise go from here.
Okay.
But the ending, I think one of the things about that ending that made me wanting was his last fight wasn't with the dude. You know, that was my whole thing.
That's what I was getting at. That's why
like it just left me wanting, because you always have that. Even Aquaman had the Mantis fight, but that really wasn't the big fight. It was with his half brother, you know, and Mantis was like this underlying thing. But you know, and as much as I love DC comic wise, you know, their animated series are always amazing, but their movies have always had that like lackluster ending, in my opinion, other than the Snyder Cut. But I felt like this one did something that the other ones didn't, and it really gave this franchise an opportunity to go wherever. You know, like they can go really dark. They could get him out of the darkness a little bit. They could go either way. Like when you think about it, to your point, Mr. Freeze. You want to see Mr. Freeze? They can easily go that route.
Yep.
They could go with a whole bunch of smaller bosses, like smaller guys who are all working for Joker to build up to the Joker run of potential 2 to 3 movies.
The Thanos parallel that
exactly.
JDX talked about.
For sure.
Have him going against Zaz. Bring in a variation of Killer Croc who's actually not a crocodile, something like that.
Don't bring in Killer Croc, please. You guys have fucked up Killer Croc so many ways from Sunday. We don't need to see it.
There is a lot of water going on in Gotham right now.
There is a lot of water, but
that's why freeze the water or some shit.
Bring in Deathstroke, something like that, like Deadshot. Like there's a whole bunch of little ones that you can bring that are always working for the big guy, and you find out and they build. They could go that route. They could go any way they want, and then they could do parallels to the Killing Joke, the Long Kiss Goodnight, all these different ones that they've done. Like it's just they got so many different things. It's not the Long Kiss Goodnight, but it's something like that. But anyway, like where do you guys think this is gonna go?
I think he's gonna die. Long term.
You think long term? Okay.
Yeah, like maybe four movies in. I feel like with Matt Reeves, I think he's really trying to go for emotion. I feel like Batman might die, and you might get like that night type of thing.
It might be an actual arc, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Like beginning end.
Like fuck, I'm getting chills thinking about it.
I don't hate that idea. I'm good with that idea because we, quite often we know this is a different parallel world. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a comic book. They can redo this as many times as they want, right?
Yeah.
So I'm awesome with that idea. I think more than 3 movies, 4 or 5 total is what I'm thinking. They'll probably get out of him. I think, and there's going to be side projects too. Like there's supposed to be originally it was supposed to be a Gotham PD movie, but now it's supposed to follow more along the lines of being like, it's going to be called Arkham. It's going to be on HBO Max.
Right.
Breeze is producing it. It's basically more of a Gotham PD horror movie, like a Jim Gordon horror series. It's so far up your alley. You don't even know Jamie. So, I mean, they're going to have all those other projects kind of like side pieces telling stories along with it. I think the main part, the main part of the movies is going to follow Batman becoming Batman in the traditional sense. And I don't hate the idea of him dying, but I think that the Joker is the end-game villain for this run of Batman.
Oh, yeah.
I think that instead of pulling him out early, which in a way was kind of, in hindsight, was kind of the doom of both. Well, the Keaton movie was initially meant to be a single movie, right? That's what that's the way that Burton wrote it. It was meant to be standalone one movie, and they're like, well, "Here's a bunch of money, do another one." Okay. And then we found out about trilogies and movies going on and on and on and on forever, and so. But also, you had like, I think that. I don't want to speculate, but but the Dark Knight pulling out the Joker in the middle of the trilogy, I think, was a mistake in hindsight. I think Joker has to be the end run. I think they probably did, as to say, but he did commit suicide. So, but that's
really.
Yeah. Well, I hear you. And they guys go different directions. So that's my long-winded answer to your very short question, JB. Sorry.
So what if they do this? Because you both, I think we're all in agreement. Batman's got to die. So I think I'm all for it. I think that's right. But what if they do the Arkham Knight run? Like maybe they introduce Jason Todd in the second one. He gets abducted and killed by the Joker, and that takes Batman down a different path. And then he comes back, ends up being the one who, gets everything. And then you have the Arkham Knight and Joker doing stuff, and then lights out.
Well, I mean, are you talking like for longevity to like have a pivot once he dies, or what? What's your point here? Because I don't think he needs. I know Pattinson said he would like to, if they do a Robin, he wants to do a young Robin, and we had to talk about all this. I don't think that he needs a sidekick in his role.
Not yet. Oh no, we're still getting to know him.
But I think depth-wise, like adding the Jason Todd, piece, or they could just jump. You know how they could do this? They could jump 5 years from now, and like he's already established.
Don't do that.
I hate it.
Jump a couple years, but don't jump long like that. No.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, you can jump a year ahead. That's fine. Yeah. It's gonna take him. Oh, damn you, Jamie! Now I'm getting mad.
I mean, do you think if they did something like that, like would that have the long-term payoff? Because the Arkham Knight,
Jamie's not patient. He wants Red Hood and fucking.
I've wanted a good Red Hood variant for so long. There's been some good ones in the animated, series that they've run, but there's never been an attempt because there's never been. I mean, in order to truly have Red Hood, you have to already truly establish Jason Todd, or you introduce him in a completely different way. Which I feel if there was going to be any sort of Red Hood or Arkham Knight or any variant thereof, I think that's what Reeves would do. We wouldn't get Jason Todd in the literal sense of former Robin who was killed, thought to be killed, kept alive, captive for years. If there's a different manner of introducing it, I'd be open to it, but I don't think you need to really go in that path. And yes, I see you. Yes, at the back of the class, please speak up. Okay, before you pop a blood vessel.
You guys are spoiling the Arkham Knight video game for me too. By the way, I just started playing that, and I haven't beat it yet.
We were talking about a completely different Arkham Knight thing altogether. I have no idea what video game you're talking about.
Not even the same thing. No, okay. So
we said this was a spoiler review. We didn't say what we were spoiling. So
I feel bad now.
No, the game's
it's obvious it's Robin though.
Right, the game's still fantastic, and the reveal's done excellent.
So what if the kid from this movie has those things, becomes the Red Hood?
He was wearing a red samurai outfit at the very beginning during Halloween.
What if he becomes?
Yeah.
Then we get it. Then we get what I want. Then as long as I get what I want, I can care less. That's what.
So he becomes his privilege and loss leads him into a similar path as Batman with a different view and vengeance on the Riddler, the man who killed his father.
Yeah.
I could buy that. I could buy that.
Buy that for $1?
They hinted at it hard enough. I feel like there is something there. They planted seeds with like a guy from the subway scene, and then also the little boy, the mayor's son. So they planted those seeds, so I wouldn't be mad at those.
What do you want? Other than dying.
Other than to kill the Batman, what do you want?
I want the Joker I want them to hold off on that. I really want them to hold off on that. I don't know how I feel about I forgot dude's name, and I just said it earlier. The guy from the Eternals. I don't know how I feel about him as the Joker yet. I wasn't crazy about the laugh. And then also, like, I just didn't really like how they kind of made the Riddler seem like he was less superior than him. Like, the Riddler he seemed like very important throughout the entirety of the movie, and then when they got in the jail cell, like, I get but like he was like, oh, there, it's okay, and he just seemed like beneath the Joker and shit. So I don't know. I guess it makes sense because the Joker, like, he's had a past with the Batman already, so it's like he knows the Batman. And he's like, you did good. So he's like pep talking him or whatever, But there's a deleted scene.
I read about this. Yeah, talk about that. Go.
Now, had they kept that deleted scene in the movie, I would be totally okay with the way that they had that whole Arkham like sales scene go down, where he was like, "Oh, you did good.
Did you hear about this, Jamie? Did you read about this? Okay, Jamie, tell them about the deleted scene. This is fantastic.
You might do a better job of explaining.
Okay, so let me explain it. So what it was is that Batman sneaks himself into Arkham at night, guards up loafing off, whatever, right? So he sneaks himself in there. And so you kind of get the presence of him right outside the door, and you just hear the Joker character. I can't remember his name either, but Joker, we're going to call him, the Joker goes, "Oh, it's almost our anniversary, isn't it?" And it's like, oh, that's a great way to start. And it's real quick, kind of some little chops here. And basically Batman is just asking the Joker his thoughts on the Riddler because he's concerned about the Riddler, this and that. So it kind of ties into that odd bond that the character, the Joker, and the character of the Batman have always had. There's always been this kismet kind of thing between the two characters as a whole. So they kind of played with, yes, very much yin and yang. Good point. So they kind of played with that a little bit. It's a real short little quick scene. It's supposed to be on the extras when they release it on, digital and Blu-ray and all that shit. So
that's awesome. That would have made so much more sense with the Riddler, with the Joker.
Yes, that's why I said that. I wasn't feeling that once I found out about that. I was like, oh, great. But the way the theatrical version, with them giving us that version, without that deleted scene, that makes me not want the Joker right away. I don't know.
Maybe that's the purpose. Maybe that's to pull back the expectations so that we don't. When we don't get a lot of Joker in the next movie, it's down for the road. Maybe that's the point of it, which I don't know. Sure.
That scene sounds great. So maybe once I actually do see it, I'll be like, "Fuck yeah, I want to see it."
Let's see it. Well, let's talk about overall here. So there's been a lot of Batman movies that have been released. Some excellent, some not so, some shitty. And we don't have to put them all on the rank, but where would you rank the Batman as far as your personal, rankings of movies? Will you put it on the very top? Is it in kind of that top tier, middle? Where would you guys go? And whoever wants to start can start here. Where would you place the Batman on your personal rankings of Batman movies and properties?
Bottom of the motherfucking barrel. No, I'm kidding.
Didn't see that coming. All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
No, I talked it up this whole time now.
Spent an hour talking about it. Like, it actually was shit, but we told you all about it.
Robin. No, I loved it. Honestly, and I don't want to feel like prisoner in the moment. I'll say this. My first viewing of it was out of this world. It was living in my head rent free. Like, that was all I could think about the next day at work. So I went to go see it again over the weekend. And my second viewing of it wasn't as glorious as the first one. It was still good, don't get me wrong. But it was a tougher watch because it was 3 hours and I knew what to expect already. But I would say for a first time viewing experience, it's right there with The Dark Knight, if not over The Dark Knight for me. Okay. So I level with Dark Knight, if not slightly over.
So the number one Batman movie, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so.
So like 1 or 1A is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. One beer.
Okay. Now, for those of you who listen to us at all, whenever Jamie and I rank anything, know that I am notoriously critical about going to the 5-star, the top tier, the A+ level. I'm always I always pull back. I'm a very very conservative with how I rank things. So and I never want to do it immediately after it because I'm always like, if I see, like, remember when I saw last year after St. Patty's Slam, the whole Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa Lights Out match. I was like, Jamie's like 5-star all the way, 5-star, and I'm like, let us sit for it. Literally just happened. So a week later, I'm like, yeah, 5-star. But it takes me a while to get there. So initially, same thing. I walked out of my car. I had my little poster because they gave you a little poster at my theater I went to. I have a little Batman poster, right? And I'm just like, that was one of the best movie experiences I've ever had, blah, 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 stuff. And I'm like, all right, Ether, calm down. Think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I would put it, to me, Dark Knight still won. Okay. Dark Knight is still on top as the best comic book movie I've ever seen.
Do you mind talking about why, though? If you don't mind, Jamie?
I will. And I'm gonna put the Batman as number 2. And I'm actually gonna keep it that way. we're just talking about Batman properties. We could get in deeper and talk about all comic book movies, right? Because then you got pulling all the Avengers, right?
I want to say that.
Yeah, so it's just Batman movies. What we're referring to right here,
Yeah,
because
just Batman.
right, because I would have a shocking take about one of my top 5 that most people wouldn't include. Days of Future Past. That's Anyway.
Oh shit! No, I love that movie, dude.
I love. That's why. See, that's why I love JDX so much. Man, we're right fucking there.
It's
man.
my number 1 X-Men movie. It's my number 1.
It's mine too.
Really?
It's one of my favorite all-time comic book stories of all time. In my living room, I have 3 large comic covers blown up and framed. It is The Walking Dead #1. The very first comic. It is Batman Hush, the compilation, the half and half Jim Lee masterpiece, the half and half cover, and then it is also Uncanny X-Men number 143, Days of Future Past. My 3 favorite comic book covers. But no, so as far as Batman movies. First Class was great too, but I loved Days of Future Past. Then after that, spiraled out of control. I didn't hate Apocalypse, to be honest with you. I really didn't hate it.
His makeup just annoyed the shit out of me. He did fine as an actor, but his face, I just couldn't get over.
They actually fixed it too. They were going to go even farther from I still have yet to see Dark Phoenix.
At all. Yeah, they have not been able to do a proper Dark Phoenix. Anyway, we're not talking about Dark Phoenix. We're talking about Batman.
Fucking terrible, especially the last.
I haven't seen the last one, and
don't.
I want to at some point watch it just to say I give it a watch, but I can't bring myself to do it.
Worst movies I've ever seen.
I know, that's why everybody says it. I'm just like, can't bring myself to do it because I'm like, there's so many other movies that I need to see that I can't see. Anyway, no, I would back to Batman. I would put the Batman right now at number 2. I would put Dark Knight at number 1, and here's why. And that very well could change with more watchings of this. Dark Knight is one of those that I left the theater and immediately wanted to see it again, like that second.
Yeah.
The Batman didn't necessarily resound as much to me. I think Dark Knight, because this had a lot of kind of similar feel to the Dark Knight. And maybe that's why I won't put it as high as the Dark Knight, because it was grounded in reality. It was realism. It was a lot of that. But I think just the overall package, the way that the Joker was, and everything about it, I don't know. Dark Knight to me embodies kind of like the perfect work. Now, I'm a bit of a Christopher Nolan freak anyway, too. Fan as well. Not freak. What am I saying? It is what it is. So I think that right now I would still have the Dark Knight on top. But I reserve the right to switch them 2 around after I watch this movie another 5, 10, 20 times. Because
it has to age a little bit for you.
It does. And I've probably seen The Dark Knight 100 times, and I could still. It's one of those movies that I will still watch whenever it's on TV. Like, yes, please put it on.
Yeah.
So, I am going to be that guy. It is tied with The Dark Knight. But it could easily surpass it because of what it can mean to the franchise.
Yeah.
Okay.
You stole my answer.
Yeah. Because the reason why I might put the Dark Knight over it right now is just because of what the Dark Knight meant to the franchise. Like what it meant for Batman. Like there were more Batman fans after that, maybe because Heath Ledger's untimely death or his amazing performance either way. It meant so much to that. Like a whole new drove of fans came to Batman because of that. And I think...
And there were more after that than Batman Begins, because Batman Begins didn't have that effect, but Dark Knight did.
Because you busted out the Joker card.
Yeah.
And the Joker card is what people want, the Joker card. This is the first one that I can honestly say it was better without the Joker. And I think what it can do for the franchise, if they do hold that Joker card as long as they possibly can and still put out amazing product, it could easily be better. Like it could be the number 1 because of what it did for the entire franchise.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. Like that's why they're tied right now, and I can easily just go boop just because of that.
I agree with that. That's what I was kind of getting at the 1A, 1B. Because like you said, like we got to see how this sets up. And I feel like it's going to set it up great. You know what I mean? For like future movies to come. So,
me too.
Final question here: where would you kind of put it in line with 1989 Batman, the Burton Batman?
I love that movie. Love that Joker.
I think it's better. I do like 1989 Batman. I really do. I love the Joker. Batman was good in that, but like, I really like that final battle scene, like in the church and stuff. But I would just put it over that simply because, we didn't know. Like as a kid, I knew that Bruce Wayne's parents had died, but the way they told the story in the movie, you didn't really know. You just kept seeing him go to this alley and drop these roses and shit. Right. So they did do a great job of like telling that story of, you know, what led him to be that way. I feel like this movie really laid out a better platform as to why Wayne is the way that he is.
And the reason I asked that, I think, is a lot to kind of Jamie's point, because I remember growing up, Batman was a thing, and I was kind of into Batman, and then 89 happened, right? And I saw the movie, and everybody was like stupid into Batman, right? Batman at Six Flags, and you had Batman here, Batman fucking everywhere, right? All over the place and shit, you know? No joke. And that Batman ride still is up at St. Louis Six Flags, if I remember correctly. The one where you're hanging. It was. I didn't know if they had. I didn't know how they did it, if they had like the same ride at all the different places or not.
Yeah, they have a Batman ride and a Dark Knight ride, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
there's a Mr. Freeze ride in St. Louis. It's like the bullet thing, and it shoots you up in the air, and you come back. Yeah. Anyway, it's cool because it's like it's all Mr. Freeze cave, and one of the good things, probably the only good thing to come out of Batman and Robin, right, was that ride. That ride was awesome.
I like Batman and Robin. I actually might watch it sometime soon.
To each his own. But anyway, that's the one reason
I was a kid. I was like, what was that? 97, 98?
98, I want to say.
Yeah, so that was like one of the first movies I ever remember going to see as a kid. So it holds a dear
I graduated high school in 98.
I was like, I was 4 years old.
You old man, look at you.
Old as fuck. Yeah.
He's not even saying it, but I'm graduated high school the next year. Anyway, Jamie, what are your final thoughts here about Batman? Because I know you're a giant proponent of 89.
The 89 comparison too. Don't forget that. Like, how do you?
89. I mean, 89 had Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
love that Joker. You had Prince. Like music all through the damn thing.
Prince. He was the soundtrack. That's true. Yes.
I mean, it's kind of hard to beat that movie. But the thing that really puts it over the top for me is they finally broke fucking kayfabe and showed him putting on black eye makeup around his eye. The little things like that. Because for the longest of time, he'd have this black on his eye, but then as soon as he takes it off, nothing. There's nothing ever there. Yeah. They finally showed him putting the stuff on, and like when he took it off, he had the black eye makeup. Like, finally, some reality to this.
Great.
I got another question for you guys. Sorry.
No, go for it. What's up?
Michelle Pfeiffer or Zoe
Pfeiffer? Michelle Pfeiffer.
Is that her name? Is it that her?
Michelle Pfeiffer, but
he's doing the Key and Peele thing. Michelle Pfeiffers! You don't want to fuck with Michelle Pfeiffers.
Yeah, so
Michelle Pfeiffer or
Zoe Kravitz. Which Anne Hathaway. Fuck, we gotta do that too.
Michelle Pfeiffer was probably the sexiest of them all. Like, had the sexual sensuality of it.
Yeah.
I feel like Zoe's was a little bit more raw and gritty and vulnerable. That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And then Anne Hathaway's was fine.
Yeah.
Like, I have no redeeming qualities for her other than her catsuit. Like,
wow, we're going down that direction. Okay.
That catsuit was
I mean, she's a great actress. I'm not saying that, but I don't know. She just.
I'm gonna take over from you. I'm gonna bail you out. Okay, so I think Zoe Kravitz is the final form of what the Anne Hathaway Catwoman was meant to be, right? You know, I think that she's a better representation of the Catwoman of this. Excuse me, she's a better representation of this Selena Kyle character than we've had on screen. Selena Kyle is very much a strong-hearted, troubled soul. You know, Michelle Pfeiffer. It's weird because I almost hold a lot of like the Tim Burton movies, those first two movies. I almost hold a lot of this stuff in their own category. It's like, because she was fantastic, but she was also a woman who got shocked with electricity and then started drinking milk and cutting up, you know, things to make herself into a pleather cat suit, and literally had 9 lives. Like, literally had 9 lives. So
that was a little over the top.
I mean, but it was but she was amazing in that role, and
it was iconic.
So I wanna, if I had to choose one Catwoman right now, I'd choose her. I would choose Michelle Pfeiffer, just because we don't have. I want to see them do a side project with Zoe Kravitz. I want to see her go on her travels to wherever, and, you know, let's see her by herself, because she's
supposed to.
Oh, fuck yes, let's go, let's go, because she feels like Selena Kyle. I don't want to say she feels like Catwoman, but she feels like that she's the embodiment of that Selena Kyle character. So I loved her.
I really liked working in Iceberg Lounge and stuff, like her switching gigs and shit. Like, that was really good. That shit was really good. Like, with the contacts, Batman putting the contacts in her eyes.
The kind of the subtle use of technology, you know, not the over. Like I said, a lot of it was like DIY Batman, you know, like he kind of, you know, but that's what made it different and made it cool. So, all right,
it felt like playing a game, like fucking, like the video game came to life.
I know, right?
Cool.
I wonder if we can get we're not going.
Do you want to rank Batman's now?
Yeah, like, can we?
Oh
yeah. Go for it. Let's do it.
Oh shit! Okay, all right. All right. I would say, are we starting at?
You want to do them all? Keaton? Okay, so we got. Well, if we're gonna do it, we gotta do. You got Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, Bale, Batfleck, and Pattinson. We're not gonna do any of the animated or additionals.
Right. I was making sure we weren't including Adam West, because I can't. Like, I've seen the Batman, but like,
I almost say that that's its own.
Yeah,
it's iconic in its own way.
That's nostalgia.
For sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
Rest in peace, Adam West. You know, you did great things for the Batman.
For sure,
absolutely. Hell yeah, forever immortalized. I would say that Clooney probably last.
Probably.
Just because like how goofy he was.
We're putting him last. Yeah.
It was goofy. And we're not doing. Are we including Bruce Wayne, or are you guys like he's a separate entity?
No, it's just like the person who played the Batman character, the whole thing.
Okay. The whole thing. All right, for sure. Yeah, I'll put him last then. I would say Val Kilmer after that. Then I would say we got Christian Bale, and then we got Pattinson and whatchamacallit, Keaton. Next I would probably say Michael Keaton. And then I would say Christian Bale, and then I would say Ben Affleck, and then I would say Pattinson.
Oh, you got Pattinson on top. All right.
I got him on top. I hated his suit. I didn't get a chance to say that. I hated his fucking suit.
Oh, you didn't like the new Batsuit?
So let me not say that. I like from here. I liked his chest plate, like the symbol. I didn't like the fucking the armor look here.
The armor abs. Yeah, the armor
abs. It was so bulky looking. It looked weird.
Armor abs.
Weird. Yeah, armor abs. Basically,
I feel like that should be a male shapewear company. Armor abs. Excuse me, I gotta go buy a domain real fast here just to kind of lock that down.
The collar, and then the little the fucking the ears. It was just off. Ever since I seen the first picture of the Robert Pattinson Batman, I hated the suit. I still hate the suit. It wasn't as bad in the movie because of lighting and stuff like that. But there would be times where I would still be like, oh, fuck, I hate the suit still. So I'm hoping he gets a new suit in the next one and it's different. So
okay, well,
but yeah, I have him at the top. Yeah.
Okay.
So mine is easily Clooney's last. Like dead fucking last.
He's even admitted he was a terrible Batman. He should have never been in that role. So touche.
Yeah, he was terrible. Kilmer wasn't that bad.
He wasn't.
So I'm gonna put Kilmer there. I'm gonna go with Clooney, right here. Mm-hmm. Or no, I mean not Clooney. I mean, sorry, Affleck, right here. I know you have him really high. I'm not a big Affleck guy. So I'm gonna have him there. Then I'm gonna have Bale.
Mm-hmm. Figured so much.
Yep. Pattinson, Keaton.
Why Keaton first?
What he meant to the franchise, man. He was perfect. He was the most well-rounded, both as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. Like, we've had some, like, we all agree, I think, Ben Affleck was probably the best iteration of Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Not as Batman, but just Bruce Wayne knocked that shit out of the park. But Keaton was a very, very well-rounded version of both. Dark, mysterious. He had everything. Like, he was the complete package for me. And in the Tim Burton universe, he was perfect for that universe. Then they went elsewhere, and it got really
And
bad.
Schumacher got involved, and things happened.
Yes. Yeah. So that's my list.
Plus, remember, Batman 89 was when Jamie and I were about 8 and 9 years old.
For sure.
So
he did a great job. I just think people did better jobs. That's all it was. No. I think all of them did pretty solid jobs. I just didn't like Clooney's. Val Kilmer was kind of underrated to me.
I think Val Kilmer was actually a very good overall Batman. The subject material started to. His Bruce Wayne was excellent. Yeah.
Really good.
So
I just didn't like Batman as much.
Mine starts very similarly. We got Clooney on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We all know why. Kilmer right above it. I think that
nipples on the suit. That's why.
Nipples on the suit sucked. I think if he had had a better shot at it instead of just kind of having to. I mean, he had impossible shoes to fill coming in, so it is what it is. And then you've got so no matter how you break it down, you basically get these 4 here. I'm gonna go Affleck next because, like we said, I think that just because he was the best Bruce Wayne didn't overweigh everything for him. He had to deal also with some bad material that he was working with. It's not his fault. He got Val Kilmer a little bit. I think give him a better shot, he would have done better.
For sure.
As a whole. So I would then go Keaton, Pattinson, Bale.
Oh,
mostly because of the Dark Knight. Let's be honest.
You're a Nolan mark. Yeah,
I'm a Nolan mark, and like I said, because of the way it is. But right now, I like Pattinson just below it. I feel like, especially because we're finally getting the Batman whose age in his life matches the age in his character's life, right?
Sure.
Although we had that with Batman with Affleck, but it was we could see him grow from a second year 20-something-year-old Batman to be a 30-something-year-old Batman.
Yeah.
In real life. That's the point. So
right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Affleck he was a victim of not getting that origin movie. He was, his movie was forced, like the Batman versus Superman. He had like this established history and shit, like giving him the same opportunity to get, his own movie.
The mindset of how they were doing it, we're going to do it reverse of what Marvel's doing. We're going to do a big team up and then do individual movies. And I'm like, just copy what they're doing. That's fine.
Formula made trillions.
We're going to do something different. So, all right. Well,
because they should have did Man of Steel too. And then, But anyway.
Sometimes it was. Sometimes it doesn't work out. I have high hopes for the Aquaman franchise. I think that I really enjoyed the first Aquaman. I thought it was really good.
Me too.
I was really disappointed with Wonder Woman 84.
Wonder Woman was great. Wonder Woman 84 is.
Yeah, shit was terrible. The 84 was bad.
It was not good. So we'll see where they go from here. And we're gonna see where Batman goes. So
hey, real quick though, let me ask you guys. Sorry. What do you guys think they're going to do? Because obviously they're getting rid of Batfleck in the Flash movie, and there's spoilers if nobody didn't know that. And Keaton is coming back. So what do you guys think? Like Flash and like Aquaman and Wonder Woman. Do you think they're going to continue the Justice League with like Keaton, or I'm fucking confused about this?
I don't think you're going to have Justice League for a long time. At all. But they're basically using the Flash movie and the Flashpoint storyline to retcon everything that has happened in the past decade. Right. Basically saying, all that's good, it still exists. It's in a different parallel world.
Oh, okay. I see
that's what they're doing. And that's the point why they're bringing in like Keaton and stuff back into different parts of things too, because they're basically saying it doesn't have to be just the one. We can have different variants of it, and it still all makes sense because in a way, that's what the comic books are. They've created all these different multiple universes and expanding and contracting points and all these different things to allow them to have all the different stories still be in canon. So that's what I feel they're going to be doing. I'm interested to see Keaton after all these years. I mean, he was great in the first Spider-Man as Vulture. Yeah. He still got it. So, I mean, I'd be interested to see him, especially that Batwoman movie. That's sounding more and more interesting the more I'm hearing more they're moving along with it.
Yeah. I'll be watching strictly for him just to see what he does. I'm not a big Batwoman, Batgirl.
I'm not either. It's Bat Universe, so I'll be there. But we are Batman Marks, and this has been your movie review time. So I do want to thank JDX giving us some of the time here. We are going to let you promote whatever you want. So if you want to take a few minutes, plug whatever you want, feel free. Go ahead. That's up to you. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram at the.official.jdx. On Twitter, you can find me at officialjdx, I believe it is. On YouTube, I am at the official JDX. On Pro Wrestling Tees, you guys can find me on there if you just type in JDX, like Pro Wrestling Tees /JDX.
I think we need to get a Batman themed JDX shirt in the next run.
Maybe, man. Maybe.
I'm just saying,
You get the Miles Morales gear. You get the Miles Morales gear.
You do get the Miles Morales gear. Could do maybe a little Batman. I'm just saying.
Stuff in the oven.
Okay.
I got a really cool ass jacket made. Well, not made. I bought. I should say. I'm getting some really cool ass gear made. The Batman gear that's in the works too. I've sketched up things. So we'll see. Maybe by 2023, I'll have it out.
Well, I know it's not going to look like Pattinson's bat suit, but
no. It'll probably be like gray, blue, and yellow.
Hey, there we go. That's awesome. Cool. I love throwing the blue in too, obviously.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, we thank you for JDX for giving us your time. Please go give him a follow. If you can't follow the links down below, just Google official JDX. It's not hard. He's everywhere. Please go follow him. Check him out when he's coming to your town. We'll be back with our normal wrestling podcast every Thursday. If it's your first time checking us out, these two guys on the top here, we talk about wrestling every week. Do it every Thursday.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yep. So thank you for giving us some of your time. We do appreciate it. Jamie, go ahead and take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down Total Spotfest, I got 4 words for you. Give me some Red Hood.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.